I rushed to the hospital that rainy afternoon when my daughter Isolde called to say she was in labor, my heart pounding with excitement at the thought of holding my first grandchild after waiting so long through her tough pregnancy. As a 65-year-old widower who's built my life around my small family and my best friend Thorn, who's stuck by me since our wild college days back in the 80s, I figured this would be one of those pure joy moments that make all the hard years worth it. Thorn had even driven me there, chatting the whole way about how he'd be the fun uncle. And we arrived just in time to join her husband Quilon in the waiting area, all of us buzzing with nerves and anticipation. The delivery took longer than expected, with nurses coming in and out, but finally, the doctor called us into the room where Isolde lay exhausted but smiling weakly, the tiny bundle wrapped in a blanket beside her. "It's a boy," she whispered to me as I leaned in close. My hands shaking a bit from the emotion, I peeled back the blanket to get a good look at his little face, expecting to see those familiar fair features like Isolde's pale skin or Quilon's light complexion that runs in his family. But the moment I saw the baby's darker skin tone, so different from anything in our lineage, my stomach dropped like a stone. It didn't match at all, not Isolde's Irish heritage or Quilon's Scandinavian roots. I glanced up at the doctor who was adjusting his gloves, and caught him shooting this uneasy look right at Thorn, who was standing a bit too close to the bed, his face suddenly pale. "Everything all right, Doc?" I asked, my voice coming out steadier than I felt, but inside, a cold dread started creeping in. "Welcome to Brian's Stories. I share new life stories here every day, and I'd really appreciate it if you hit subscribe and liked my video. Drop a comment down below telling me where you're watching from and what time it is for you, right now. I read every single comment, and it helps me to know I'm not alone in this." The doctor cleared his throat and nodded quickly. "Yes, the baby's healthy. Vitals are strong. We'll run the standard tests." But his eyes darted away, and that glance at Thorn stuck in my mind like a thorn. The doctor's eyes flicked just once, straight to Thorn. Thorn stood too close to the bed and smiled. "He's beautiful, old man. Looks just like family." I forced a smile back, but my hands had gone cold. I didn't say what I was thinking. Not here, not yet. The hospital room felt smaller after the shock. Monitor beeps, baby cries, and a silence in my chest that wouldn't lift. Quilon was busy adjusting the baby's blanket, humming some old lullaby his mother had taught him, oblivious to the storm brewing in my head. I couldn't just let it slide. My gut was screaming that something was wrong, and I had to start somewhere. "Isolde," I said quietly, motioning her toward the corner of the room while the nurse fiddled with the IV drip. "We need to talk, now." She looked up from her bed, her face pale and sweaty from the labor, but there was a flicker of something in her eyes. Fear, maybe. She nodded weakly and shifted to sit up a bit more. "Dad, what is it? You're scaring me," she whispered as I leaned in close, keeping my voice low so Quilon wouldn't hear right away. Thorn was over by the window, pretending to check his messages on his phone, but I could feel his eyes on us. "The baby is older. His skin, it's darker, doesn't match you or Quilon at all." "What's going on?" I pressed, my words coming out slow and deliberate, like I was afraid saying them louder would make it all real. She blinked hard, tears welling up immediately. "Dad, please, not now. It's just babies can change color in the first few days. Jaundice or something. The doctor said he's fine." "No, that's not it," I shot back, frustration bubbling up. The doctor looked right at Thorn when I noticed. "And you know our family tree, fair skin all the way back. Quilon's the same. Tell me the truth." Isolde glanced over at Quilon, who was now rocking Eamon gently, then back at me. "Okay, fine," she hissed, her voice breaking. "It was a mistake. One time, Dad. I was lonely. Quilon was away on that long business trip last year, remember? But it's over. Please, don't make a scene." "Who?" I demanded, my heart pounding slower now, stuck in this mire of half-answers. "Who was it, Isolde? You owe me that much." She shook her head, wiping her eyes with the back of her hand. "I can't. It doesn't matter. Quilon's the father on paper, and that's what counts. For Eamon's sake." Thorn cleared his throat from across the room, stepping closer with that fake concerned look. "Everything all right over here? Need me to grab the doctor again?" Before I could answer, a hospital volunteer pushed in with a cart of fresh linens and smiled. "Stay out of it, Thorn," I snapped, sharper than I meant. But the words just flew out. He raised his hands in mock surrender, backing up a step, but his eyes darted to Isolde, and she looked away quick. "Congratulations," she said brightly to Isolde. "You've had quite the support team. I remember seeing your friend here." She nodded at Thorn, popping in for those prenatal checkups. Sweet of him to be so involved. Thorn chuckled awkwardly. "Oh yeah, just helping out where I can. Old family friend and all." The volunteer's words hit me like a slap. Frequent check-ins. Isolde hadn't mentioned Thorn being around that much during her pregnancy. She shot the volunteer a quick glare, then turned to me. "Dad, it's nothing. Thorn just drove me a couple times when Quilon was busy. Drop it, please." But I couldn't. "How many times exactly?" I asked Thorn directly, my voice low but firm, frustration making my hands clench at my sides. He shrugged, casual as ever. "A few? What, you think I keep count? Come on, man, this is your grandkid's birthday. Let's not ruin it with paranoia." Quilon frowned now, sensing the shift. "Paranoia? What's going on here? Isolde?" She burst into full tears then, covering her face. "It's nothing. Dad's just tired. Everyone, please, give us a minute." The volunteer mumbled an apology and wheeled her cart out. But the damage was done. That murmur about Thorn's visits planted a seed, deep and nagging. I stepped back, feeling stuck like I was wading through quicksand. Why was Thorn so involved? And why the secrecy? I stepped into the hallway to breathe, but the air didn't help. All I could hear was the volunteer's words. Prenatal checkups. Thorn. A lot. I got home, opened my laptop, and went straight to our family cloud. If the truth was there, I was going to find it. I wasn't going to just sit there stewing. No, I had to start somewhere, and our family cloud storage seemed like the best place. We'd set it up years ago for sharing photos and calendars, with everyone's phones linked for those just-in-case moments, like when Isolde traveled alone. Safety first, I'd always said, never dreaming it'd bite back like this. I logged in quick, my fingers trembling a bit on the keys, and pulled up the location history from Isolde's phone app. It was all there, time-stamped and mapped out. I scrolled back to last spring, around the time she would have conceived, focusing on those solo retreats she took to that cabin upstate. Said it was for clearing her head while Quilon was buried in work. There it was. Multiple overlaps. On April 15th, her phone pinged at the cabin from noon till evening. And cross-checking Thorn's location, yeah, we had his linked too, from our old hiking trips group. Showed him there at the exact same times. What the hell? I muttered to myself, zooming in on the map. Not just once, but 3 times over 2 months. My heart raced as I printed the screenshots, the printer whirring in the quiet house. But I needed more. I dug into the synced data from her smartwatch. Isolde wore one for fitness tracking, and it backed up to the cloud automatically. I opened the health logs, scanning heart rates and activity spikes. During those cabin overlaps, both her and Thorn's watches. His was linked from our joint business app for expense tracking. Showed elevated heart rates at the same moments, spiking way above resting levels, like they were. Exercising together, intensely. "Damn it, Thorn," I whispered, leaning back in my chair, the coffee going cold in my mug. It wasn't proof of paternity, but it screamed affair. Why else sync up like that in a remote spot? I saved those logs too, exporting them to a private folder on my drive. My phone buzzed then, a text from Isolde. "Dad, you okay? You seemed off tonight. Eamon's sleeping like a champ." I stared at it, my thumb hovering over the reply button. Part of me wanted to fire back questions, but no, not yet. I had to accelerate this quietly. "Yep, just tired. Love you. Kiss the little guy for me," I typed back, hitting send before I could overthink it. She responded with a heart emoji, and I set the phone down, diving deeper into the cloud. Next, I checked shared photos from around those dates. Nothing obvious at first. Family shots, Eamon's ultrasound pics later on. But then I found a deleted album. Recoverable because I'd set the storage to archive everything for 30 days. Inside, a selfie of Isolde at the cabin, smiling with a man's arm in the frame. Wearing a watch that matched Thorn's distinctive band, the one with the engraved initials from our college days. That did it. My anguish hit like a wave, but I bottled it up, printing that too. "You sneaky bastard." I said aloud to the empty room. How long had this been going on? Thorne, my best friend for over 40 years, betraying me with my own daughter. I almost called Caspian, then stopped. Not yet. I needed facts, not panic. The anguish was ramping up, but so was my resolve. This wasn't just betrayal. It was a knife in the back from two people I trusted most. I zoomed in on the selfie again and checked the details. The timestamp and location tag matched the cabin date on the map. That wasn't a glitch. It was a pattern. I saved everything to a private folder, backed it up, and forced myself to breathe. No calls, no accusations. Not yet. By midnight, I shut down the laptop, heading to bed, but knowing sleep wouldn't come easy. The house creaked around me, and I lay there, staring at the ceiling, the clues swirling in my mind. Tomorrow I'd push harder. For now, I was in detective mode, accelerating toward the truth, even as it tore me apart inside. The next morning dawned gray and cold, sunlight filtering weakly through my kitchen curtains as I brewed another pot of coffee, my eyes gritty from the restless night replaying those damning clues. I hadn't slept more than a couple hours. The cabin pings and that deleted photo replaying in my head like a bad dream. I needed Caspian now more than ever. My brother, always the level-headed one in our family, running his accounting firm downtown. I picked up the phone around 8 a.m., dialing him while pacing the floor, the printed screenshots from last night scattered on the table like puzzle pieces. "Caspian, it's me," I said when he answered, my voice low even though I was alone. "You got time to talk? This Thorne thing, it's worse than I thought." He sighed, the sound of papers shuffling in the background. "Yeah, I'm in the office early. Hit me with it. What'd you find last night?" I laid out what I had from the cloud and sent it over. The cabin overlaps, the matching timestamps, the smartwatch spikes, and the deleted cabin photo. Caspian went quiet as he opened the files. "Okay, those timestamps line up. And that watch band, yeah. This is ugly. Check the expense reports," I said, remembering our joint business venture. Thorne and I had a small consulting side gig for years, sharing a company card for travel and supplies. Look for anything off around those dates. Unauthorized stuff. I need more leverage. "Got it," he replied. "Give me an hour. I'll pull the statements from the shared drive. Sit tight." I hung up and forced down some toast, but it sat like lead in my stomach. The suspense was building, my mind racing ahead to what might come next. I texted Isolde. "How's Eamon this morning? Heading to the hospital soon?" She replied quick, "He's good, Dad. Nursed well. Come by whenever." No mention of yesterday's tension. Good, kept things normal. My phone rang around 9:30, Thorne. I stared at the screen, heart picking up speed. "Why now?" I answered casual. "Hey buddy, what's up?" "Just checking in," Thorne said, his voice too cheerful. "You seemed quiet at the hospital last night. Everything all right? That grandkid got you emotional or what?" I gripped the phone tighter, repressing the urge to accuse him outright. "Yeah, something like that. Long day. You know how it is." He chuckled. "Sure do. Hey, want to grab lunch later? My treat. We can toast to Eamon properly." "Lunch? Maybe?" I hedged, my mind shifting to hunter mode, careful, watchful. "I'll let you know. Busy morning." "All right, don't be a stranger," he said. But there was an edge, like he was probing. "You've been distant lately. Anything I should know?" I paused, forcing a laugh. "Nah, just grandpa duties kicking in. Talk soon." We hung up and I exhaled slow, tension coiling in my chest. "Distant?" he noticed. That meant I had to move faster, stalk the facts without him catching on. Caspian called back at 10 a.m. sharp. "All right, I went through the reports. You're not gonna like this." "Spill it," I said, sitting down at the table. Unauthorized charges on the company card, April through June last year. Stuff like jewelry from that boutique downtown, flowers delivered, even a spa gift card. Totals about $800, and get this. The delivery addresses match Isolde's home for some of it. My breath caught. Jewelry. I remember seeing a new necklace on her around then. She said it was from Quillon. Flowers, too, claimed they were anonymous. "Exactly," Caspian said. I cross-checked receipts. One for a silver locket engraved. "Matches what you described in photos." "Send it over," I told him, my voice steady but inside, the repressed dread mounting. This was deeper, financial proof tying Thorn directly. Already did, he replied. But listen, I dug a bit more. Called an old colleague of Thorn's from that consulting conference last summer. Guy named Harlan, remember him? We all grabbed drinks once. Yeah, vaguely, I said. What did he say? Caspian lowered his voice. Harlan overheard Thorn at a bar after the event, boasting about a secret family upgrade. Said Thorn was tipsy, laughing about adding to the lineage on the down low. Harlan thought it was just talk. But now, with the baby, I froze, the unexpected event hitting like a gut punch. Boasting? To strangers? That's leverage, hearsay, but from a witness. Yep, Caspian agreed. Harlan's willing to confirm if needed. But bro, this could blow up our whole circle. Thorn's reputation, Isolde's marriage. You sure you want to push? I have to, I said, suppressing the fear of fallout. Family's everything. Can't let this fester. We talked strategy for a few more minutes. How to keep it quiet. Maybe confront Thorn privately first. Don't go alone, Caspian warned. I'm your ally here. Call if he reaches out again. Will do, I promised, hanging up. The expense reports popped up in my email, and I printed everything and added it to my file. GPS overlaps, heart rates, the photo, the charges, and Harlan's bar story leverage stacking up. But the tension repressed inside me like a spring coiled too tight. I headed to the hospital around noon, the drive giving me time to think. Parking lot was busy, nurses rushing in and out. In Isolde's room, she was up, holding Eamon while Quilon scrolled his phone nearby. Dad, Isolde smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Come see him. He's more alert today. I took the baby, his dark skin still stark against mine. But I played it cool. Hey, little man. Grandpa's here. Quilon looked up. Morning, sir. Thorn called earlier, said he's swinging by later. Lunch invite still on? My jaw tightened subtly. Maybe, we'll see. Thorn showed up like he belonged there, all smiles and easy charm, but his eyes went straight to me. So, about that quietness, he said. You dodging me or what? I held his gaze. Just processing. Big changes. Isolde stiffened on the bed. Quilon didn't notice a thing. He just smiled at the baby, like this was still a perfect day. Thorn's smile thinned. If something's bugging you, spill it. We're friends, right? Friends, I echoed, keeping my voice even. Yeah, as Thorn left first, waving goodbye, my mind on Harlan's story. I texted Caspian, more probing from Thorn. He's suspicious. Stay calm, he texted back. We've got the goods. By afternoon, back home, the dread intensified. Shattering our circle loomed, but the evidence armored me. I organized the file, planning the next step, the hunt pressing on. The afternoon dragged on after I got back from the hospital. The weight of all those clues pressing down on me like a storm cloud I couldn't shake. I sat in my study, the file of evidence spread out on the desk, GPS pings, expense reports, and the deleted cabin photo, and stared at it, my hunter instincts sharpening. I knew I needed irrefutable proof, something that tied Thorn to Eamon biologically, not just circumstantially. We'd all done one of those ancestry kits a few years back for fun, tracing our roots, and the accounts were still active. But for the baby, I'd need fresh samples to upload or compare. I grabbed my coat and headed out, stopping at the pharmacy for cotton swabs and Ziploc bags. Simple, discreet. Just for a home project, I told the clerk when she raised an eyebrow at my purchase. Back home, I planned it careful. I'd visit the hospital again that evening, snag a cheek swab from Eamon during a hold, and for Thorn, I'd invite him over tomorrow for a beer, swipe a hair from his comb or something left behind. My phone buzzed as I prepped Isolde again. Dad, you coming back tonight? Quilon's heading home soon, but I could use the company. Yeah, on my way, I texted back, pocketing the swabs. The drive felt tense, my mind repressed with what-ifs. What if she caught me? What if this blew up before I was ready? At the hospital, around 5 p.m., the room was quieter, Eamon napping in his bassinet while Isolde flipped through a magazine. Quilon had stepped out for coffee. Hey, Dad, she said, setting the magazine down. You look beat. Sit. I pulled up a chair, eyeing the baby. How's he doing? Any fuss? Slept most of the afternoon, she replied, yawning. Doctor says we can go home tomorrow if all checks out. That's great, I said, reaching over to adjust Eamon's blanket, my hand brushing his cheek lightly. In one smooth motion, I slipped a swab from my pocket, gently swiped inside his mouth while pretending to wipe drool, then tucked it away quick. Little guy's got some spit there, Isolde laughed softly. Yeah, he's a drooler already. Like Quilon as a baby, or so his mom says. I nodded, repressing the irony twisting in my gut. Family traits, huh? We chatted about discharge plans, me keeping it light. Need help with the nursery set up at home? I offered. Thorne already said he'd drop by to assemble the crib if needed, she mentioned casual, but her eyes flicked to mine like testing waters. Thorne again, I muttered under my breath, then louder. Sure, whatever helps. Quilon returned with coffees, handing me one. Here, sir. Black, right? Thanks, I said, sipping slow. We talked sports for a bit, but my mind was on the swab in my pocket, step one done. Back home, by 7 p.m., I logged into the old Ancestry account, but realized updating with new data wasn't straightforward. I'd need to send physical samples to a lab for processing. I searched quick for a private DNA service. Found one that promised results in 3 to 5 days for paternity compares. Discreet mailing. Perfect, I whispered, booking a same-day pickup at their local partner clinic and paying extra for rush processing. By the time I got home, the kit was in my hands. Next morning, I texted Thorne, "Hey, swing by after work, beer's on me, need to unwind." He replied fast, "Sounds good. 6 p.m.? See you then," I sent, then prepped, left a comb out in the bathroom, on with my hairs, but ready for his. The day crawled. I called Caspian for an update. "Any more on Harlan?" I asked. "Yeah, he emailed a statement," Caspian said. Time-stamped the bar chat to May last year, right in the conception window. Solid witness if we need it. Good, I replied. I'm going for DNA confirmation tonight. Be careful, he warned. Don't tip him. Thorne arrived on time, a bottle of whiskey in hand. Thought we'd upgrade from beer, he said, clapping my back as he stepped in. Appreciate it, I said, pouring us glasses in the living room. To new beginnings, I toasted, clinking his. To Eamon, he added, sipping. We talked old times, college pranks, our business ventures, but tension simmered under my skin. You still seem off. Thorne probed again, setting his glass down. Spill it, man. Isolde? The baby? Just age catching up, I lied, repressing the hunter's urge to pounce. Bathroom's down the hall if you need, he nodded, heading that way midway through our chat. I waited a beat, then heard the comb clatter. Perfect. When he returned, I wrapped up quick. Early morning tomorrow. Thanks for coming. No problem, he said, leaving with a wave. I rushed to the bathroom. Sure enough, a few dark hairs on the comb matching his shade. I bagged them, labeled careful. That night I packaged the swabs, Eamon's and Thorne's with my own as a control, and dropped it at the overnight mail center. Rush Paternity Compare, the label read. Anonymous account. The wait started then, anxious days ticking by. January 8th, I visited Isolde at home now, her and Quilon settling in with Eamon. Dad, you're here every day, she said, bouncing the baby. Everything okay? Fine, I assured. But she eyed my phone when it pinged. DNA service notification about account activity. What's that? She asked, glancing over. Nothing, I said quick, but she grabbed it playful at first. Then her face paled, seeing the DNA service login. Dad. What are you doing? She whispered, handing Eamon to Quilon in the other room. Isolde, we need to talk, I started, but she cut me off. You're digging. That account activity, that's you checking the DNA service. Her voice rose, eyes wide. Drop it, please, for my marriage. Quilon can't know. I held back the explosion, rage bubbling but repressed. It's Thorne, isn't it? The clues point there. She froze, tears starting. Dad, no, it was a mistake. One time. Please stop this. It'll destroy us. Who then? I pressed, voice low. She shook her head. Doesn't matter. Promise you'll drop it. I nodded slow, lying to buy time. Okay, for now. But inside, I was planning the results would come by January 12th, per the service estimate. Armed with that, plus the location proofs and expenses, I'd strategize the reveal. A family meeting, evidence laid out calm but firm. January 9th through 11th, blurred intention. I avoided Thorne's calls, told Caspian to stand by. Results incoming, I updated him. On the 12th, the email hit. Paternity report ready. I opened it alone, heart pounding. Thorne's sample matched Eamon at 99.9% direct father. Mine, no relation beyond grandpa through Isolde. Got you, I muttered, printing it, adding to the file. The twist of Isolde spotting my activity had nearly derailed me. But now, with this, I tempered my rage, planning the confrontation with calculated poise. No explosion yet soon, but on my terms. Quillon texted that day, "Family dinner soon? Thorne wants in." "Soon," I replied, smiling grim. The hunt was peaking. Freedom from this lie waited just ahead. The next morning hit me like a freight train. The DNA report burning a hole in my pocket as I paced my living room, arranging chairs in a circle like some kind of tribunal. I'd spent the night organizing everything, the printed GPS overlaps, the expense reports, Harlan's emailed statement, and now the paternity confirmation sealing it all. I texted everyone separately. Family meeting at my place, 2 p.m. sharp. Important, no excuses. Isolde replied first with a confused, "Okay. Dad, everything all right?" Thorne shot back a casual, "Sure, what's up?" And Quillon added, "Be there with bells on." Caspian agreed to come as backup, hiding in the kitchen until needed. By 1:30, I set out the file on the coffee table, covered with a newspaper for now, my hand steady despite the storm inside. This was it, attacker mode, strong and unyielding. No more repressing. Time to explode the truth and watch the fallout. The doorbell rang first with Isolde and Quillon, Eamon in his carrier, cooing softly as they stepped in. "Dad, this better be good," Isolde said, setting the carrier down and hugging me quick. "We just got the little guy down for a nap." Quillon shook my hand firm. "Yes, sir. Hope it's not bad news. You look serious." "Just sit," I told them, pointing to the couch. "We'll wait for Thorne." Thorne arrived right on time. He knocked once, then walked in like he owned the place. "Hey, gang, what's the powwow about? Beer involved?" "No beer," I said, motioning him to the armchair across from me. "Sit, we need to talk." They all exchanged glances, the air thickening as I pulled the newspaper off the file. "This is about Eamon and the truth." Isolde's face drained of color. "Dad, no, we talked about this. Drop it." Quillon frowned, leaning forward. "Truth? What truth? The kid's fine." Thorne chuckled, nervous. "Come on, old man. You're scaring everyone. Spit it out." I opened the file, starting with the easy stuff. "First, the baby's skin tone doesn't match you or Isolde, Quillon." Doctor gave Thorne a funny look at the birth. Then a volunteer mentioned his frequent prenatal visits. "That's nothing," Thorne cut in, waving it off. "I was helping out, friend stuff." "Helping," I echoed, pulling out the GPS printouts. "Like at the cabin last spring?" "Your locations overlapped multiple times during Isolde's solo retreats. Heart rates spiked together on smartwatches." "Explain that," Isolde gasped, covering her mouth. "Dad, how did you—" Quillon's eyes widened, turning to her. "Cabin, with Thorne." "What the hell?" "It's not what you think," she stammered, tears starting. "It was a mistake. One time." Thorne leaned back, crossing his arms. "This is ridiculous. GPS glitches happen. You're paranoid." I didn't let up, sliding over the expense reports. Company card charges, jewelry, flowers, spa gifts. Delivered to Isolde's address. "She wore that locket, said it was from you, Quillon." Quillon snatched the paper, scanning it. "This true? Thorne, you son of a—" "Coincidence," Thorne barked, his voice rising. "Business expenses. You can't prove." "Then there's this," I said, playing the voice memo on my phone. Isolde's laugh filled the room, then Thorne's words. "This stays between us, right?" Silence hit hard. Isolde sobbed. "Dad, please stop." Quillon stood up, face red. "You bastard. With my wife? With Thorne?" Thorne shot to his feet, too. "It's lies. Fabricated." I held up Harlan's statement. "Not lies. Colleague overheard you boasting at a bar. Secret family upgrade." "Right around conception time." "That's hearsay," Thorne yelled, pointing at me. "You invaded my privacy. I'll sue, defamation, hacking, whatever it takes. Sue, I said, voice steady. Nothing was hacked. The card statements are ours. The files came from accounts you were already linked to, and you can scream privacy all you want, but you can't argue with a DNA report. No, I said strong, standing over him. You set yourself up, betraying me, your friend of 40 years, sleeping with my daughter. Quilon lunged then, grabbing Thorne's collar. You ruined my family. Eamon's yours? I held up the DNA report last. The explosive clincher. 99.9% match. Thorne's the father. The room erupted, Isolde wailing, I'm sorry, it just happened. Quilon shoving Thorne back, yelling, Get out, we're done. Thorne tried one last bluff. This isn't over, I'll fight for the kid. Try, I snapped. But with this evidence, you'll lose everything, reputation, business ties. Get out of my house. He stormed out, slamming the door, the satisfaction washing over me as justice landed hard. Isolde begged Quilon, Please, forgive me. For Eamon. Quilon shook his head, tears in his eyes. I need time. This breaks me. Caspian stepped in from the kitchen then, nodding at me. You did good, bro. It's out. I sat down, the explosion fading to a hum, watching Quilon gather Eamon's things. We'll sort this, I said to Isolde, pulling her into a hug as she wept. But truth's free now. Quilon paused at the door. Thanks for exposing it, sir. Hurts, but better to know. As they left, the house quieted, my strength holding firm. Thorne's bluff crumbled under the weight of proof, and for the first time in days, I felt the satisfaction of striking back, the betrayers exposed raw. The days after that explosive family meeting on January 13th blurred into a haze of phone calls, tears and quiet decisions, but for the first time in over a week, I felt the weight lifting off my shoulders, like I could breathe again without the secrets choking me. I sat in my living room that evening, the file of evidence now tucked away in a drawer, staring at the empty chairs where everyone had been just hours before. Caspian stayed behind after the others left, pouring us both a scotch as the sun dipped low outside. You handled that like a pro, bro, he said, clinking his glass to mine. Tough, but necessary. Yeah, I replied, taking a sip, the burn steadying me. But now what? Isolde's a mess. Quilon's shattered, and Thorne gone like that. Caspian nodded. Give it time. You freed the truth. That's step one. I leaned back in my chair, the calm settling slow. I know, just hate seeing my daughter like this. My phone buzzed. Quilon. I answered quick. Hey, sir, I left with Eamon. I'm staying at my folks for now. I filed for divorce today. My lawyer says I'm still the legal father for now because we're married and my name is on the birth certificate. I'm filing for temporary custody based on deception and instability. I'm not giving up on that baby. I understand, I said. Keep me posted. I'll support you however I can. We talked details for a bit. The DNA report and the financial trail did most of the talking. Keep me posted, I told him before hanging up. It felt right, him stepping up for the kid, even if biologically it wasn't his. Isolde called next, her voice raw from crying. Dad, how could you? You destroyed everything. Isolde, honey, I said gently. I protected us from more lies. Thorne betrayed all of us. Come over tomorrow. We'll talk, she sniffled. Quilon won't even answer my texts. Says it's over. It might be, I admitted. But you and me, we're family. We'll rebuild. She paused, then whispered, Okay, tomorrow. That night, I slept better than I had since the birth, the freed feeling washing over me like a cool wave. No more hunting shadows. The calm had arrived. January 14th, Isolde showed up mid-morning, eyes puffy, carrying a bag of take-out coffee. Peace offering, she said, handing me one as she stepped inside. We sat at the kitchen table, the same one where I'd gathered those first clues. Dad, I messed up bad, she started, staring into her cup. Thorne, it started innocent, helping with errands when Quilon traveled. Then one night at the cabin, after too much wine, I held up a hand. I don't need details, just why. He's my best friend. She shrugged, tears falling. Lonely, I guess. Quilon's workaholic. Thorne listened, but it was wrong. Ended months ago, but then the pregnancy. And you let Quilon think it was his. I finished, calm now, no anger left. Yeah, she admitted. Scared. But now, Eamon's with him. Court papers came fast. We talked for hours about therapy, how I'd pay for sessions if needed. We'll go together, I suggested. Rebuild trust, she nodded. I'd like that. Sorry for dragging you into this. You're my girl, I said, hugging her. Always. By afternoon, word spread in our circle. Thorne's professional ruin starting. Caspian called with updates. Our joint venture. I froze his access and reported the fraudulent charges through the proper channels. Clients walked when they saw the paperwork. Good, I replied. He deserves it. More, Caspian added. Harlan's statement went to Thorne's boss. Ethical breach. He's out of a job. I pictured Thorne packing boxes, relocating in shame like I'd hoped. Where's he going? Rumor says out of state, Caspian said. Family disowned him too. Cousin called me, shocked. Satisfaction settled deeper, calm following. No revenge joy, just justice done. Over the next weeks, things shifted steady. January 20th, Isolde and I started counseling, twice weekly at first. Mr. Last name, your strength inspires, the therapist said after our first session. Facing betrayal head-on, Isolde opened up more each time. I feel guilty, Dad, but talking helps. Me too, I admitted. Lost a friend, but gained honesty. Quilon updated me, February 1st. Court granted temporary custody, divorce hearing next month. Your docs swung it. Later, Caspian confirmed what I suspected. Thorne didn't file anything. His lawyer sent one threatening letter, then went silent when they realized the paper trail and the DNA report would become public record. He ran instead of fighting. Glad, I said. Eamon needs stability. He paused. You can visit any time. You're still Grandpa. That warmed me. Appreciate it, son. Thorne tried one last reach-out mid-February. A text. We need to talk. This ruined me. I replied short, nothing left. Don't contact us. Blocked him after. Community whispers faded. Our reputation held as victims turned victors. Isolde moved in with me temporarily, job hunting while healing. Thanks for the roof, Dad, she said one evening, cooking dinner together. Always, I replied, chopping veggies. We're stronger now. By March, the court issued temporary orders. Quilon got primary custody, and Isolde got supervised visitation at first. Fair, she said, signing papers. I'll earn back trust. We celebrated small family dinner with Caspian. To new starts, he toasted. As spring bloomed, I walked in the park with Eamon on visits. Quilon nearby. He's growing fast, Quilon noted. Yeah, I said, calm enveloping me. Like our bonds. Back home, Isolde and I talked deep about boundaries, spotting red flags. No more blind trust, she vowed. Lesson learned, I agreed. Freed from deceit, I felt empowered, surrounded by genuine loved ones. Thorne's disgrace, jobless, isolated, moved away, served as his due. No contact since, his legacy tainted in our town. In the serene close, I sat on my porch one evening, watching the sunset. Life goes on, I murmured. Isolde joined me, handing a coffee. Yeah, Dad, better now. We clinked mugs, the calm complete. Family mended through truth. Safeguards against future pain in place. Sometimes, what we need isn't advice, but someone to stand by us and say, that's enough. If this story brings you even a little relief, drop a comment down below, telling me where you're watching from and what time it is for you, right? Now, I read every line, and I make these videos to remind you, you're not alone. On screen right now, you'll see 2 new stories I think you'll really enjoy. There are many more waiting for you on the channel. So don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss one. See you in the next story. Until then, take care of yourself and the people you love. With all my love and respect.